So, firstly, I would like to apologize because I won't speak a lot about theater, although I know this is the topic of the present conference. The problem is that Wilson can be categorized as a theater director. Director, even if he actually directs theater pieces. Many times we speak about him as painter, visual artist, architect, and I'm sure that this conference gives us some further examples. Interestingly, this uncategorized concept of art is also important in the work of Lady Gaga. As Adam Gaboriak wrote in his study, she reformed the medium of music videos. And she also created many performances which were really close to contemporary art. For example, her memorable mid dress. Like Wilson's, her art is close to surrealism and Dada. And although I know that Lady Gaga basically belongs to the mass culture, but like Wilson, she many times attacked and reflected the frontier between low and high art. In my opinion, one of the biggest differences between Wilson and Lady Gaga is the common interpretation of their concepts of the body. One of the key elements of Wilson's art are the very personal traits of the bodies of his actors. Lady Gaga's body is posthuman and unreal. Both are well reflected by the experts. All in all, there is a director who says that every body is unique in a natural way, and that there is a well-known performer who is always interpreted as a socially constructed phenomenon without any materiality. In the next few minutes, I would like to speak about the collaboration of these two artists, the Gaga portraits. Do we look Gaga's real phenomenological body in the video portraits, or only a well-made role? I would like to present two different interpretations of Gaga portraits. The first one is based on the German theater theory and the Wilson's reception. The second one is based on the feminism and the interpretation of Lady Gaga. So the first one. According to Lehmann, when Wilson slows down the physical movement of the human body in his theater performances, it is cut out of the time-space continuum as an art object. As Lehmann wrote, the scenic action, walking for example, takes on the beauty of a purposeless pure gesture. With other words, the performers move in a very unnatural way, and every small action becomes independent and interesting. They are interesting because the audience can recognize the beautifulness of a pure gesture, and because this gesture is the gesture of someone. Wilson always deals with the uniqueness. One of the most important parts of his job is when he finds the perfect actor for the role. So Wilson looks for the extraordinary part of the actors and bodies of actors. It isn't a surprise that Erika Fischer-Lichter uses Wilson's theater as one of the few main examples when she explains the difference between the phenomenological body, so the body of the actor, the dinosaur, and the semiotic body, the body of the role, the ghost. In Wilson's theater, the character is only a possibility or an opportunity of the presentation of the actor's phenomenological body. When two actors are walking very slowly and very simply, we recognize that they can't walk in the same way. Their bodies have little personal aspects. And these personal aspects of the gestures are the important for Wilson. One of the reasons why Wilson likes to make video portraits is the close-up of the filmmaking. He can show us very small gestures of the body, like a blink or a crinkle. The context of these gestures are very similar to the other ones in the theater. Bodies are stylized, pictures have a two-dimensional effect. The gestures are very slow, so they create their own time. They are not timeless like paintings, but they are not as fast as a movie. The medium is similar to the paintings. They are hanging on the walls of museums, and lots of times they reflect the famous paintings, thanks to Wilson, who can copy perfectly the lights of masterpieces in the real life. To be honest, first time when I watched one of these portraits, I was angry and impatient. Why did this guy move so slow? I was waiting to the joke of this short movie. Later, I had very mixed feelings. Sometimes I was relaxed and I catch this particular flowing of time. Sometimes I suffered because I felt the hardness of moving of the actors. The same thing happened when I saw the Portraits of Lady Gaga. They made these pieces at London in 2013, and they exhibited them first in the Louvre. The story of the collaboration is interesting. Lady Gaga was 27, and she talked a lot about that, because many great musicians died when they were 27 years old, like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, etc. This is a well-known phenomenon called 27 Club. Because of that, Wilson and Gaga chose famous paintings dealing with the dead from the collection of Louvre. They selected and recreated 3 of them, and they made a 4th totally original one. My favorite one is that Ingres's portrait of Mademoiselle Caroline Rivière. Caroline was a young girl who died after Ingres has exhibited this picture. This picture influenced perhaps mostly of the 2 artists. They made 11 variations. The original one is the head of John the Baptist by Andrea Solario. According to Julia Kristeva, his served head, I'm John the Baptist, his served head is already in ecstasy. The triumph of sublimated sadomasochism? Perhaps. A bit later, she concludes that this is one of the most convincing transformations of martyr into ideal figure. But let's turn to sadomasochism a bit. This is the only picture of the series which is not a copy of an old painting. This is Flying, inspired by a Japanese bondage, shibari. It is based on a traditional, very respectful and very aesthetic way of imprisonment of important enemies. Nowadays it could be part of special sexual activities. But when I said this is in connection with sadomasochism, I think about a video which is about the preparation of this art piece and which was also a part of the exhibition. We can watch Lady Gaga is crying before the bondage, but later she enjoys it. Someone said this is a common reaction of this type of shibari. The other interesting aspect of Flying, we are hearing during the video one part of the 120 Days of Sodom. It is about girls abused repetitively by a man. And finally, there is a well-known painting depicts the death of Marat. So, we have 4 portraits about victims who are frozen in their picturesque and highly aesthetized representations. All of them are on the top of their glory, but also somehow dead. Like pop star Gaga, if she has died when she was 27, a highly idealized pop star without any personal aspects, there is only the fake and beautiful persona of a star. And there is the really interesting part, because in Wilson's artworks, we are watching almost still copies of these paintings about death. And when Gaga breaks the picture with her gesture after a lot of time, it can mean life, freedom. It has a strong effect, because, I think, we have to wait to this moment, and it is physically hard. And according to the interpretation of Wilson, these gestures may be directed, but also very personal, referring to Gaga's gesture, referring to Gaga herself. All in all, these pictures can be understood as a very complex and beautiful game of the aestheticized death and the personal life and feelings of a pop star. Now, I would like to start from the beginning, the interpretation, to show something else. Unfortunately, my presentation about the body of Lady Gaga has a very actual aspect, because she's under medical treatment and she cancelled her next concerts. Interestingly, some of the fans said that the illness of the pop star is not real and Lady Gaga lies. I think this is a very common phenomenon in connection with Lady Gaga, that people usually don't trust her. Why? Well, I'm not a real fan of Gaga and I don't know all the facts of her illness, but I think her art is one of the reasons. She changes her personas very often. Similar to Madonna, she uses symbols without real meaning, for example the special U with 2 dots, or symbols of religions like Judah. Her name Gaga refers to Radio Gaga, where the Gaga means blah blah. She also makes very strong self-reflection, for example in her video Paparazzi. Although this self-reflection usually means nothing, or something like, I'm a pop star, you are a fan, you are watching me. Yes. She also has a male persona. You can watch it in the video You and I. She's also strongly sexualized, but sometimes she punishes the voyeurs. In my opinion, all of these aspects are also in the Gaga portraits. For example, in 2 pictures, Gaga is naked, but because of the male persona and the text of sad, you cannot watch them in the way of a voyeur only. Many good and many bad interpretations exist about the art of Lady Gaga. My presentation is strongly based on the one of György Kalmár. According to him, we can watch the creation of Lady Gaga many times in her case. There is usually a man who creates her, like Frankenstein, who created his monster. This monster is a female, highly sexualized pop star controlled like a puppet by men. There are two consequences of that statement. Firstly, we can watch Gaga portraits as something like a highly controlled prison. She has to embody the ideal picture, but this is impossible. Gaga is in a prison of a role, like everybody, according to Judith Butler, who says you have to embody a role of the society if you want to exist, but you can never be equal with this role. Lady Gaga has to move. So we can watch Wilson as a powerful puppet master. And secondly, if Lady Gaga is not a real persona, but someone created, we could not be able to decide what is fake and what is real. It is similar to Butler's opinion about gender and sex. Her statement, a bit simplified, is that socially constructed gender exists only, and the gender creates the fake phenomenon of the biological sex. So we can say that the role exists only, and the role creates the phenomenon of the real body of the actor. We are watching the role, we get many scenes, and we decide which the scenes of the body of the role are and which the scenes of the real persons are. There is no phenomenological body. There is just the second half of the role, only which is interpreted as a personal gestures of the actors. So what I want to say in the end of my presentation, we can watch the Gaga portraits and the big part of Wilson's art as a very clever technique to split the role with the slow motion. This is like a self-reflection of Gaga. We find something different, something about the system or the language of the art, but finally this is nothing. Two dots about the you only. Thank you.